Ladies and gentlemen, hello there. Hi, and welcome to another edition of the MrWarrenHayes Show. And I am he whose name is included in this title, Mr. Warren Hayes himself. Hope everyone is doing well on this Thursday evening, which just happens to be September 12, 2019. We're going to be talking about professional wrestling, and I'm not This is the kind of zany antics that you get to see with your own eyes right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because I do this show live. I put it together live. Well, I don't put it together live, but I make it happen live in front of people right here every Thursday night, 9 p.m. sharp. And again tonight, wonderful packed house of beautiful people, well-wishers, friends, and pals who are here to join me as we discuss the wacky world of professional wrestling. Who's here, you may ask? Let me tell you. We got Tim, who's here. We have Benoit, who's here. We have Robert Larry, Zachary Shiloh. We have Nick Wolf. We've got Hobo Angst, who comes in here with his You People promos. I got something to tell you, pal. Ooh, good. I think I unhinged something in the back of my throat. If Ryan Smith was here, Zeus King, Dave Pozovsky is here as well, Michael Stepney, TJ Ridgway. Look, we got a nutty nut bar packed house of cuckoo crazy people. No, I don't want to put that intentions on you. I don't want to say that you guys are cuckoo crazy. Not unless you want me to. If you consider yourself cuckoo crazy, you type cuckoo in the chat and we'll see if I'm off base or not. Maybe you're not listening to this live, which is entirely possible. You could be watching this on YouTube, on your own time, on demand, which is fine. Whatever you're doing, hey, do consider giving the video a thumbs up. Give it a like here on YouTube. YouTube likes that kind of stuff, and if YouTube likes it, I like it, because that means more people get to figure out who the hell Warren Hayes is. And then maybe you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, which is absolutely possible because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on all podcast apps, all good, all bad, whatever you decide to listen on, it's there. And if it's not there, oh hey, JS Brown, he's cuckoo crazy. And if it's not there on your application, give me a ring ding ding. Say or reach out on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes, and then I'll look into it. I'll be like, why isn't the Mr. Warren Hayes Show unavailable on Podcrust or Audio Smudge? You want names for your upcoming podcast application? You reach out to your boy Warren Hayes. I'll bill you only once the good stuff comes out. Oh, it's going to be a good one tonight, folks. I can feel it. By God. Hey, just before we do go on, there's some big changes that are coming forth regarding ya boy. Last night, as many of you know, I usually had a show, and I said had, on Fightful Select, Fightful's premium service, right? Where I covered 205 Live, NXT UK, I covered it every week on the Fightful Select podcast. Seeing now basically that NXT is becoming a live show, I won't be doing the NXT 205 Live NXT UK recap show anymore. That thing's done. I'm going to be doing a post show live on the main Fightful channel every Wednesday with Sean Ross Sapp, managing editor, Fightful Select, FightfulSelect.com, and all that jibber jabber. And I'm going to be I'm going to start doing that next week because it's the first live show next week. So I'm excited about that. Then when SmackDown rolls around to Fox on Fridays, I'm going to be doing post shows on Fightful with Sean. Oh, look at that. We got a new subscriber. This is This is why there's all this garbage on screen. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Hobo Angst, who's in the chat, and he just jumped in. He's a brand new subscriber. Look at that. I don't know what's going on. Okay. All right. Welcome to the subscriber family right here. But yeah, so basically Friday's SmackDown Live post show on Fightful. I'm super excited about that. And I'm going to keep doing the Thursday show right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. That is not changing for a second, not for a minute. I'm staying right there. So there we go. So that's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to that. Tomorrow, if we're gonna talk about things that are happening imminently, tomorrow's Friday, and guess what that means? Since it's Friday, and since Friday, it's a Friday before a pay-per-view. Guess what that means? Predictions! I'm going to be doing my prediction show right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, and I am going to be joined by Chris Spizak and Silky from the Spies and the Benchmark show. They are going to be joining me. They're going to be joining me right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. I'm really, really excited to get a chance to talk wrestling with Chris and Silky again. They are two of my absolute favorite people. They are two fantastic dudes. Cannot be. We haven't done anything because of conflicting schedules. We haven't done anything together in months. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys again. And I hope you guys pop in. Clash of the Champions prediction show tomorrow, 8 p.m. right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes. And after that, available on all the platforms per usual. And here's another thing, Bell to Bells. I've talked about that before. Site for women's wrestling coverage, BELLTOBELLES. I'm working on my falsetto. I hope you guys are appreciating it. Bell to Bells still out there, still doing some fantastic stuff. Kristen Ashley handling the business over there. We are going to be doing our very first video content for Bell to Bells. So that's going to be exciting. Video and audio content. We're going to be doing an Eve post show. They have a show this weekend called Wrestling with an Agenda. That's going to be happening Saturday. It's in the UK. There's going to be some fantastic matches on it, and we're thrilled to do our very first post show. I'm going to be hosting there. Kristen Ashley is going to be on the panel to recap it, along with Harmony Cox, who's a fantastic writer, a brilliant mind. You should be following her on Twitter if you don't already. And we're going to be doing this on Tuesday because the shows aren't broadcast live. The Eve shows aren't broadcast live, but they will be available on Tuesday, and we're going to be doing that. So make sure you stick to Bell to Bells on the Twitter account, and you come and join us for that as well. I mean, if you want to just, change your mind, listen to other types of wrestling other than SmackDown, you just come on over and listen to us talk about Eve, Pro Wrestling Eve. And that'll be fantastic. I mean, it's not as if SmackDown is any good these days, am I right? Oh, well, hey, you know what? Since we're talking about it, let's get right to it. Let's do the WWE inspection. I always have the theme music start back, and it's not supposed to. Guys, all right, let's start talking about WWE. Let's start going over the inspection, and let's start right now. I'm gonna start. No, not Cool Beans. I'm not giving Cool Beans just yet. I'm giving some warm soda to start this one off. We're gonna start by talking about the opening segment of Monday Night Raw at Madison Square Garden with Stone Cold Stephen Austin, who came out and who did his promo, the contract signing between Seth Rollins and Bronathan Strowman. And here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. By the way, Carlos, how you doing? Just saw you pop up in the chat there. Thank you for being here. Here's the thing. I'm very, very divided here. And that's why I'm giving it warm soda, because there's look, as many of you already know, Some of you who follow my body of work, you know, who know who I am and who listen to what I do here. This is not new. This is something that I've been that I've been talking about since back when I was still doing Raw recaps. All right, you know this. I hate contract signings. They're stupid, they're lazy, and they're boring. It's always the same formula, and I hate them. I loathe them. If there's one reason, it takes a certain amount of magic to make a contract signing worth it. But in general, I dislike them tremendously. I think I made that clear. So start right off the bat. This segment is a strikeout for me. Not only because it was a contract signing, but it's the second attempt at a contract signing. Because they tried to do it last week. They gave us a contract signing segment last week and whoop, it fizzled out. So we're going to try again this week. The saving grace here was unquestionably Mr. Austin, who hit the ring and he recounted some stories, you know, what got all nostalgic on us, but you could tell that he really was enjoying telling the story of when he first dropped Vince McMahon with a stunner, talking about his own contract signing with Bret Hart, which was fantastic. This is the match that it was the contract signing for the match that made Stone Cold, right? So there was something very good about it. He seemed loose. He seemed in a good mood. It was a good time. Kristen Ashley in the chat. How you doing? Michael Stepney. Did I say hi to you, Michael? I think I did. And Critical Sting is here. Not just Sting in the chat, folks. Critical. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So Stone Cold basically illuminates the whole thing. He gets an enormous pop. And you can be... It's hard not to compare the pop that Stone Cold gets versus the pops that some of the stars get today. There's no one in WWE today, but I would even argue that anywhere else right now, there's no one who gets a pop like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Still gets to this day. So this was a very, very warm soda segment because as much as Stone Cold was delightful, it was fun, he was into it, the beer celebrations were great, AJ Styles' heel work coming out was fantastic. That imitation that he did, the impersonation that he did, that was great. And he took the stunner, he did the whole heel 9 yards. I even liked Seth's comments about the what's, about being wadded. But bloody hell, it was just another contract signing. And that just drags it down for me. And they do it 2 weeks in a row. Why did they do it 2 weeks in a row? Why didn't they just do it last Monday? Oh, we failed the first time. And honest to God, if I work for a company that can't get its contract signed properly in a certain form of decorum where you have to cancel a contract signing for a huge match. And why are you announcing matches if the contracts aren't signed? I know this is all kayfabe and it doesn't, but it still doesn't make sense. Oh, anyway, the first big label of the evening, we're giving warm soda to the opening segment here. We're gonna give such cool beans to Becky and Charlotte versus Bayley and Sasha. Oh my goodness! I loved this match. Started off with the brawl. Becky unloaded on Bayley with some hard shots. There was some fantastic brawling to start off. I loved where I loved the segment where Bayley runs in to break up a figure eight, right? Becky rolls her up and into a disarmer, right? But it's not what we expect though, because Bayley because that's it. It's like Charlotte has Sasha in the figure eight, and Bayley runs in to break it up, but Becky grabs her, rolls her up into a disarmer, but Bayley, she pushes her way out of it, and she tumbles Becky onto Charlotte. It was a perfectly executed segment. It was really, really good. I dug it. I thought it was fantastic. It was a great part. And listen, Bayley was the MVP of this match. She took the beatings. She got the big offense in. She was the workhorse of this match. And if there's any question, this was the best match of the card, no doubt. And they went like 17 minutes. There is no doubt to be had that these four women are the women's division in WWE. You put them together and there is magic that happens here. You have to find a way to get the four horsewomen into a match, into some kind of match at WrestleMania, and you got to make it happen soon. It has to happen while you still have them all. You almost lost Sasha. And they're all hot right now. And even Bayley. And I don't care if people say, oh, Bayley is so. No. Bayley's hot right now. Bayley has never been hotter on Maine. This is the moment where you pull the trigger and you make the four horsewomen your top attraction for your next WrestleMania. You cannot fuck this up. I was listening to my boy Sean Ross Sapp, who was talking about this as well, and he even pointed out that WWE has missed out on the opportunity of having the Shield fight each other. We will not have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. We won't. You got your four top women here, let them fight. Now, flip side here, it's these four women, they're fantastic. They are the division, but that's the problem. That they are the division. The undercard of the women's division is undeveloped. Not underdeveloped, undeveloped. They are not doing anything outside of Alexa and Nikki Cross. Outside of those two. They are not doing anything proper to build a next generation, to build a next tier of competitors. They're not. You had Natalya and Lacey Evans go 50-50 booking later on in the show. 50-50 booking doesn't create stars, folks. It doesn't. We're going to talk about what happened on SmackDown a little later. But they're not doing it. They're not building stars. If I'm building my own professional wrestling company, I want Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky Manning, you know what I mean, at the helm of the division. I want them there, but I'm also building strong contenders underneath, which is not what WWE is doing. But anyway, that was just some editorializing as we're going along, but don't let it distract you. This match was definitely cool beans. Zeus King says, put them on the same team as Survivor Series. At Survivor Series, excuse me. Blaine Mendoza is here. How you doing? Hoboang says, was the problem after WrestleMania built Ronda, Becky, Charlotte, and once Ronda left, they were not left with much. And you're absolutely right. Hobo. That's something I don't say every day. You're absolutely right. Hobo. It's something that I've talked about as well. They were so focused on building those three women that once it was time for WrestleMania to be over, you couldn't immediately go back to Charlotte. You couldn't go back to that. Well, Ronda was taking some time off. That's why we got Becky versus Lacey Evans, because they had no one else. Critical Sting points out, and very, very justly, who's going to put the APB out for Naomi? She has been missing here. And Robert Larry says the WWE must push the entire women's division ASAP before the division fails. let's move on. Let's get some more cool beans here. I liked Raw, by the way. I thought Raw was a fantastic show. Mysterio versus Grand Metalik. Maybe wasn't the match that a lot of us were expecting, but this was some solid work. I love the boogie board, the boogie board dive that Mysterio does on the outside when Metalik was out there. He does his boogie board dive. He rolls through it. Metalik evades it, and Mysterio just rolls through, gets back up, but eats a hell of a super kick. The Tope con Hilo that Metalik did from the top turnbuckle that just crushed Mysterio's neck. I was terrified. Metalik's twirling I always mess this one up. Rope walk, drop kick. Always looks fantastic. It looks fantastic. It doesn't lurk. It looks fantastic every time. And Metalik hit a very nice springboard spike run off the second turnbuckle as well. It was a great match, but it didn't quite live up to the hype or the level that they were going, ooh, this is so good. But man, it was nice to see Grand Metalik, a member of Lucha House Party, on Raw, not being treated as garbage, because Grand Metalik is not garbage, and on 205 Live, Lucha House Party is not treated in the same way as they are on Raw. So this was a fun match. I really liked it. Are we going to talk about King of the Ring? Let's talk about King of the Ring, because I'm going to give it some cool beans. And as I've been doing over the past couple of weeks, I'm going to cover Raw and SmackDown, the Raw and SmackDown sides. Look, the cool beans is all about Ricochet versus Samoa Joe versus Baron Corbin. Jesus Christ, this was good. It was so much fun. This was a match that had stakes. I like it when my wrestlers who wrestle in matches with stakes wrestle like they're wrestling in a match with stakes. And that's what Ricochet was doing here. He wanted to win. And it showed in everything he did. His offense was quick. He wasn't goofing off. He was going straight in for the kill every time. I loved the deadlift, the deadlift slam that Corbin did against the post. Joe hit a huge scoop slam on Ricochet as well. They had this great sequence as well where all three guys were just landing offense on each other. And okay, seriously, I don't care what you think about Baron Corbin, but Corbin's power bomb where he flings Ricochet back up onto his feet right into a deep six, that, boys and girls, was hot stuff. That was good. And I love the ending to this where Ricochet hits the 630, but Corbin drags him out of the ring, flings him over the barricade to get the sneaky pin. And Baron Corbin, man, is working like he hasn't worked over the past 18 months. He's been having consistently great matches in the King of the Ring. And he works really well with Ricochet. I've talked about it on the show before. He's had fantastic matches with Ricochet in the past. Again here, he works really well with smaller guys. And he's always pulling out something new. He's trying out new stuff. I am all in. Baron Corbin winning King of the Ring at this point. I really am. And I told y'all on this show that the only way Baron Corbin was going to win King of the Ring is if Ricochet won his opening match. And look what's happening. We've only got one more to go. Meanwhile, on the SmackDown side, look, it sucks that Elias is injured and that he broke his ankle and he couldn't compete. It sucks. But why? Why? In the name of everything that's good and pure in the world. Why? In the name of love. In the name of all that's saintly and good. Why? Why put Shane McMahon as the replacement for Chad Gable? He even talked about it. You know, we might put someone back in who's been eliminated. Fantastic. Put in Mustafa Ali. Put in Buddy Murphy. God. What is your logic behind putting a 49-year-old non-wrestler into a wrestling match when you have all this talent dripping underneath? It makes absolute no sense to me. Zero. Shane McMahon is not a wrestler. And no, it's not. It's not because it's entertaining, and it's like, no, J.S. Brown, it's not because it's good shit, pal. It's not. It's not. And I know what you mean. I know you're talking as if it's Vince. I get it. I'm just being stupid. I can't stand this. And if there's one guy, they keep saying, King of the Ring. This is where, new stars are born. And so on, this is where careers are made. Chad Gable could have used this. If we're going to endure Chad Gable's short jokes, there has to be a proper payoff to this. And it has to be Chad Gable at least looking like a champ coming out of this. But he doesn't come out looking like a champ because his King of the Ring matches have all been junk. They haven't been good. And at least against Elias, it should have been something, but he ends up with Shane McMahon, who has how is Chad Gable going to shine against a non-wrestler? I hated this so much, and it bugs me. And on top of that, what bugs me even more is that they're moving the King of the Ring off of Clash of Champions, and it's going to end up, the King of the Ring finals, it's going to end up on Raw on Monday. The prestigious King of the Ring, as commentary likes to tell us. Yeah, but not prestigious enough to put the finals on your pay-per-view and instead put Eric Rowan versus Roman Reigns on it. That's not a pay-per-view match. It's not a pay-per-view match. It's not. And the build, anyway, I'm not getting into the build, but it's not a pay-per-view match. You're putting all your championships on the line, right? That's what you're doing. You're putting all your championships on the line. All your prestige is there. Your prestigious tournament finals, though, they're not. Oh, this is such garbage. It bugs me so much. Blah. How you doing, Anthony Suter of Smart to Death, who just jumped in? Anyway, but I feel like here's the dealio, palos, friendos. Friendos. That's another bunch of people who do podcasts, and I'm not gimmick infringing on them. No, absolutely. That's theirs, but fine. But here's the thing. King of the Ring this week, still cool beans, because this is way the Raw match was so good. It was fantastic stuff, and it establishes everything perfectly. Thank God we had the Raw side of King of the Ring, because the SmackDown side was just junk. It was just junk. There was nothing good of it. Anywho, so there we go. Those were some cool beans. Have you guys noticed I haven't given much hot trash? Well, that's because I was talking about Raw a lot. And I thought, Raw was really good this week. But now we're going to talk about SmackDown. Undertaker's promo was not good. What a waste of time. Sami Zayn coming out. He could have been a lot more cutting. He could have been a lot more biting. He really could have been asshole Sammy, like we like him, but we didn't even get that. It was just bad. It was just bad. It was boring. It was dull, especially when you contrast the night before on Raw with Stone Cold coming out, electrifying the place. It wasn't a good start. It was pointless and useless and didn't serve any purpose whatsoever. Aside from, it's a big show at Madison Square Garden. Let's get Taker on the card. That's it. I'm trying to, well, are you guys ready? You ready? Mandy Rose, her promo. It was bad. It was so very, very, very bad. And you're probably going to sit there and you're going to say, Warren is going to come out here and he's going to tell us, how demeaning it is, right, to women. That she's coming out and she's being catty, and again, it's they're doing grade school level of high school cattiness because that's all they know how to write for women. And yes, they're right. You're right. You're absolutely right, because it is. It's stupid. Let wrestlers wrestle for wrestling things, okay? Let's just do that. There's an argument to be made, whether, as to it being offensive for women and for women in wrestling, because, God forbid that they would actually want to wrestle each other because they just don't like each other, because they're competitive, because they want to win titles. No, that's because you're ugly. Jesus Christ. But even on top of that, folks, this isn't even where I'm going to land here. This is it. There's that, but I'm going to land something on top of that. It's not only belittling to women, it's belittling to all intelligent life on Earth. No, but as far as in you and I, as intelligent human beings who use their brains, who think about stuff, who like to watch entertaining products, this was awful. It was awful, awful, awful. It was written, I tweeted this out, it was written as if it was written by fourth graders who think this is how high schoolers talk when they're being mean to each other. It was so basic and stupid. I'm beautiful, Nikki, and you're ugly. And then they pull out the Jinder Mahal shtick, the Jinder Mahal Shinsuke Nakamura shtick from 2017, where they put still frames of Nikki Cross doing a goofy face. Remember those? I remember, and those were awful. That was stupid, and it's still stupid here. And not only were it wasn't even a still frame. It was Nikki Cross's official picture on WWE.com. The thing here's the deal. Whoever is writing this shit has got to stop and has got to be given another job that they're going to be better at, such as dusting the lighting fixtures or screwing things into the ring posts. Whatever. Don't let this person string words together into dialogue because they can't do it. They just can't. There is a way. If Mandy Rose wants to pull off, or if they want Mandy Rose to pull off a I'm prettier and better than you gimmick, there is a way to do it so that it's interesting, so that it still has enough nuance, so that it's actually interesting to watch and get into it. Not this catty grade school bullshit. And I'm going to tell you how they can do it, because they're currently doing it on WWE programming. They're doing it with a dude called Velveteen Dream. Dream's gimmick is exactly that. He thinks he's more charismatic, spectacular, better looking. He thinks he is a superstar. He looks and feels better than everyone. His whole gimmick is based on the fact that he thinks he is prettier and sexier than everyone else. But he doesn't use those words. He uses other ways to elevate himself and make him come across as the things that we're supposed to understand about him, instead of spelling them out for us using third grade English. So there is a way for Mandy Rose to be what they want Mandy Rose to be. But right now she's being written, the way that they write for her is stupid. It's insulting to our intelligence. And she just sounds like a bimbo because it's not coming across properly. Or maybe just don't do that with Mandy Rose. Because she's not a bad wrestler. If there's one woman who's improved dramatically since she's been on Maine, it's her. She was called up too soon, a la Nia Jax, but unlike Nia Jax, she's been improving. Jesus Christ, she has one of the best V-triggers outside of Kenny Omega in the business. It's demeaning, it's belittling, but most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, it's insulting to your intelligence and mine as a contemporary viewer in 2019. And don't belittle yourselves or what you're watching and saying, well, it's just pro wrestling. No. You can expect better from your entertainment. You deserve to expect better. And you especially expect better from a $1 billion company, the biggest wrestling promotion in the goddamn world. You should expect better. They put emphasis on their storylines. They tell us that the storyline is important, that character development is important. They tell us this. They like to hammer this home. They say, oh, yes, the matches, but you also need the characters. Create living, breathing characters that we can be invested in. And with their resources, they should be able to do it. Let's keep on the hot trash train here. Bayley versus Ember Moon. I've got 3 questions for you guys. I got 3 questions, and I'm going to chat with you. Thank you very much for thanking me for the rant. I appreciate it. Thank you all very much. Thank you. But here, I want to ask you guys 3 questions about Bayley versus Ember Moon. Are you ready? Why did we need this match? What did it do? And who did it benefit? These are the 3 questions that you have to ask yourselves when thinking about this match. Bayley versus Ember Moon. How did it benefit Bayley? What did it do for Bayley? It did nothing for Bayley. Bayley didn't need this match going into Clash of Champions. She had an extraordinary match on Monday, and she got pinned by Charlotte, but it does happen that the champion gets pinned before a pay-per-view. Nothing out of the ordinary. She didn't need this match. But you know who didn't need this match on top of that? Ember Moon didn't. Because it did jack shit for her. Jack diddly shit for your girl Ember here. It didn't, no purpose. And it just devalued her even more. She has been on, they had started building her, started doing something with her, and ever since SummerSlam, it's just been loss. Wins and matters don't matter. Wins and losses don't matter, they will tell us. But at some point, they do. They really, really do. Plus, proper airtime. The match starts, 30 seconds in, we're cutting to a commercial, we come back, 30 seconds, maybe a minute in, the match is over. That's just junk. It's just junk, served no one. I'm going to take a pause from all the hot trash, give you a cool beans. That Roman and Eric Rowan brawl had me in stitches. I thought it was the funniest thing I had seen in quite a few weeks on Raw. That was hilarious. They start brawling with each other. Eric Rowan slams a fan. He power bombs a fan. The audience, he launches himself. Roman Reigns is surrounded by security, and he body presses himself onto security and onto Roman Reigns, and then he hits Roman Reigns with a camera jib. I had never seen that, and I started laughing. That was hilarious, and I was crossing my fingers, and I was like, what's his name? Tom Phillips, if there is one time, Tom, that I want to hear the words unforgiving steel, I want to hear them in the sentence, unforgiving steel camera jib, but I didn't get it. Damn it. Oh, but that was hilarious. I still don't think that this belongs on the pay-per-view. I still think they bungled the whole angle, the whodunit thing. But you know what? This brawl was stupid fun. That was just really stupid fun. And we're gonna wrap this up with some warm soda with the Shane McMahon Kevin Owens angle. I'm just gonna touch on this quickly because I do want to talk about other stuff. Been talking a lot about Mandy Rose, but Kevin Owens being fired, the whole angle. Look, I don't like how I like the idea of Kevin Owens caring about money, caring about the fine, caring about his job because he has a family to support. I like that idea. That's something that appeals to me. It makes people human. I don't like him becoming an apologetic yes man geek because he's afraid of his boss. This is wrestling. We're supposed to live vicariously through these characters to a certain level. I think Kevin could be a little more of a terror. That's what he is. That's what he's capable of doing. This is a very weird and unconventional Kevin Owens that we have right now. Him being fired it's a strange move, but I'm crossing my fingers that the rumor is true and that he's going to go kick off NXT live this week and maybe carry this for a couple of weeks. I am 100% okay with that. Are you kidding me? Going in and having his feud with Adam Cole, who is he's a friend, and they've had legendary battles on the independent circuit. These guys are very familiar with each other. I'm okay with this. Let's bring it over to NXT and make that happen. Sure. The guys are more polished in what they do. They're smarter in what they do. Are you kidding me? Adam Cole and Kevin Owens from 5 years ago are not the same guys as they are today, especially Adam Cole. He's progressed tremendously. As good as he was, I sincerely believe that he's better today than he was 5 years ago before he got into NXT. I really do. Look, I'm holding on to this one right now. It's just I think the way that they're treating Kevin Owens is stupid. If he shows up at Full Sail next week, he is going to get the hero's welcome. Full Sail knows who their alumni are. If Kevin Owens shows up, people are going to go bananas. Rightfully so, because everyone should go crazy bananas cuckoo over Kevin Owens. Daniel Price in the chat. How you doing, Daniel? He said, you should have called it an apologetic aluminum crane. Benoit in the chat says KO will help Roddy win his championship match on NXT. See, I know Kevin Owens and Adam Cole are friends. I get it, but I think there's still mileage to get out of a babyface Kevin Owens first and foremost. So I don't think he's going to be aligning himself with the Undisputed Era, and I don't think Velveteen Dream is losing his title on the first live show. Velveteen Dream is one of these guys that cable TV will gobble up. He is extremely charismatic. He is part of the show. You have him come in as champion. You keep him as champion for a little while for the new audience, for the cable TV audience that's potentially going to jump in here. You don't have him drop the title straight off the bat. I think he's too valuable as an attraction and as someone that will attract viewers, that people will be captivated about. And if he loses his first match, there's just nothing there. There's much more value in keeping the North American title on Dream than putting it on Roderick Strong and having Undisputed Era holding all the gold, because this is kind of a new chapter. They're opening a new book. There's new things to talk about at this point. Well, listen, folks. That was the WWE inspection. All right, We're done with the WWE inspection, but the next topic I want to talk about is 205 Live. We're not going to get into 205 Live. But before we do, hey, you know what? I like you guys. And I like everyone who comes here and joins me in the chat. We've got a nice packed house tonight. I think people are getting excited for this, all the excitement regarding wrestling. And again, I just want to remind you, best way to there's a couple of ways for you to support the show if you're wondering and you're like, I like what this WarrenHayes guy does. If you want to keep doing it, if we want to show him some love. If you're listening to this on YouTube, give the video a thumbs up, share it out there, let people know what's going on here. If you're listening to this on your podcast app, give it a review, a like, a follow, whatever it is. Those things really, really are fantastic. If you want to give me a tip, that's also very appreciated. You can go right now to tinyurl.com/tipwarren. And that is another way to support the show. Just like buying my t-shirt is, the I'm Not Dead t-shirt, because that's still around. I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. whatforapparel.com/I'm Not Dead without the punctuation. It's all in the descriptions of the show here. So let's talk about 205 Live very briefly, because there's this insane rumor. Well, it's not insane, because it's not the first time I hear this rumor. It pops up occasionally. But Triple H this week, he did an interview. And he talked about a whole bunch of things, including the state of 205 Live. And he talked about it, and suddenly some people gleaned out of this that Triple H had confirmed that 205 Live was done, that they were burying it, that it was finito, caput, el terminado. That's not Spanish. That's nothing. That's just me being ignorant, essentially. And I'm going to read you the quote. Okay, I'm going to read this. Ray Deathray, how you doing? Welcome to the chat again. And Aaron Jay's fan is here as well. How you doing? Here's the quote that Triple H, and I want chat. Let me know if you pick up on this. If you hear Triple H saying, you know what, 205 Live is finished. Here, listen to this. I think it talking about 205 Live. I think it always existed in an island unto itself a little bit, and it's become lost in this limbo. He's talking about all this brand shakeup. SmackDown going to Fox, NXT leaving the network. You'll begin to see it move more towards the NXT banner and the talent there. We have a lot of talent for them to begin to compete either open against anyone or in the cruiserweight division, but have that title sit under the NXT brand is more meaningful. It creates more opportunities for more people. As for Raw and SmackDown, it's an open division for them. When you're on both shows, everybody is competing against everybody. That's a very vague statement. It's some very speculatory words. I want to know, where here does Triple H say, we're done with 205 Live? Aside from the fact that he says that the Cruiserweight title would live really, really nicely under the NXT banner, which he's right, and it's something that a lot of fans have been talking about for a long time. It's fine, and I'd be okay with this. Look, I've talked about it before here on my Fightful Select show. Talked about it quite a bit. How 205 Live is in a bad, rough spot because they're taping it live after SmackDown. Once the live audience has seen all of their favorite wrestlers and has cheered for everyone, and they're exhausted and they don't know what to do with these guys that they just don't know. 205 Live should have been 205 Live should always have been one of two things. Either just 205 something, but not live, taped before the main SmackDown show, so the audience is still very, very excited. And it warms them up, and they're anxious to see some wrestling. So either that, or you send them to Full Sail, and the Full Sail crowd would completely eat it up. That was the two suggestions here that have always been around. But for some reason, they kept them on the touring with SmackDown Live and happening after SmackDown going to some places where the arena is half empty and it's not a good look for anyone. It's not fun for the wrestlers. It's not fun when you're watching this on television. It doesn't feel important. It makes sense. And they have been having talent exchanges for a long time between NXT and 205 Live. Only Lorcan, he's, fluctuating between both brands. We have Kushida, who popped up this week. We had Swerve Scott, Isaiah Swerve Scott, who popped up. Angel Garza recently. Why? What? Even Raul Mendoza popped up about a month and a half ago. He's an NXT stalwart. Why wouldn't this? It all makes sense. But guys, gals, geez, there's no. Triple H hasn't said that it's canceled. What are you talking about? But if NXT does become the home of the cruiserweights, I am completely okay with that. It's going to be the best possible outcome. Daniel Price says, if they were done, they'd have to future endeavor a whole lot of people. Well, they still could. But, I honestly think at this stage, and especially with how the Jon Moxley thing happened, I don't think WWE is going to be in the business of firing anyone anytime soon anymore. I think they'll much prefer to sit on talent and do something a la Neville, where they're just going to let contracts run out, as opposed to just like giving releases, because I don't think they want another Jon Moxley going out there doing the shoot interviews. I really don't. Critical Sting says Angel Garza for Cruiserweight champ. That's a statement I can get behind. There you go. And Hoboang says, yeah, very much. The cruiserweights end up on NXT very much like when it was a mainstay on Raw. That's cool. It's a very good comparison without all the Enzo. Did you guys see the Zoe Train reunion though this week on 205 Live? Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and Arya Daivari all back together in a team. It's a Zoe Train reunion. Enzo was teasing on Twitter having bought tickets to go see Raw, and I was like, "Do you want to bet?" But no, because he didn't buy the tickets. He was too much of a pussy. And if he did show up, they would have probably kicked him out, and then he would have felt justified to start passing out his flyers to his rap freestyle show. And be doing after hours later on that evening in a dive bar somewhere in New York. All right. I want to talk about a little incident that happened, a little something interesting that happened over the past couple of days. I don't know if you guys saw this go by. There was an incident that happened a few days ago. It's about 2 weeks now, regarding a referee in Revolution Pro Wrestling over in the UK. You've heard about it a little bit, but basically what happened, RevPro had to put out a statement regarding an incident that happened on a show recently where a wrestler beat up a referee, and the referee is legitimately injured. And there was a lot of confusion around it. And I asked a pal of mine who works over at Bell to Bells, Dean Buckley, smart guy, fantastic dude who writes fantastic articles. You should go follow him right now on Twitter at Dean Buckley, Buckley, just like Jeff Buckley, rest in peace. But here's basically what happened. There was a tag team match that happened at RevPro between Shaw Samuels and Jeff Bodum against Aussie. Sorry, what's the name of the tag team? The Aussie wrestlers. Can't remember, but It was basically to determine who were going to face the Gorillas of Destiny at the New Japan show Royal Quest that was happening a couple of weekends ago. So this happened at the RevPro event called Summer Sizzler on August 30th. The planned finish for this match was to have Josh Bodum, I think it's pronounced Bodum, Josh Bodum and Shaw Samuels were supposed to lose the match to the Australians, but they were supposed to lose, I think, by countout. But what happened was that Bodum was covered for a pin. The referee counted the 3 count before Bodum could get his shoulder back up. Referees are usually instructed to, I know it's the case in WWE, and this is probably the same case in other promotions, but they are instructed to count a pin as if it was a shoot. Like they have to go all the way. They to maintain like the realism of the competition. But Bodum didn't get his shoulder up in time. So the referee, Aaron Wild, counted the 3 count. So it wasn't the planned finish, but it was still the planned winners, right? So Shaw Samuels, basically, he did a bit of improvising, and he did a protected slam on the referee. Sort of like to establish the fact that they got screwed, that they were mad. Wild then rolled himself out of the ring, and Josh Bodum assaulted him on the outside. At this point, we haven't seen any video. There wasn't anything existing of the attack. No one had seen it at this point. So the guys go on Twitter, the guys Bodum and Samuels. Shaw Samuels does an angle on Twitter where he says that they were screwed. It was a screw job, and that they were screwed out of the win, basically. Bodum probably did something as well, but he nuked his Twitter. He's gone from well, at least from Twitter, he's not there anymore. So this happened on the 30th. About a week later, on September 7, Aaron Wild finds out how severe his injuries are, and he tweets out about it. And he says that he was attacked by Josh Bodum. His injuries are keeping him from not only continuing to referee as a wrestling referee, but they're keeping him from doing his shoot job as well. Apparently, his real job is he's a football/soccer referee. So he can't practice his shoot job because he got injured. But everyone's like, well, okay, but this is all an angle, right? Wrong, because the next day the video goes up. And if you haven't seen the video, it's very easy to find out there on Twitter. The video goes up clearly showing Josh Bodum beating the absolute shit out of Aaron Wild, the referee. Like, he is wailing into him. And Wild is trying to protect himself, and he can't. And it's a fan shot video. It's very, very, it's actually kind of hard to watch when you know the extent of the injuries that happen. He starts kicking him in the head as well. He just lost it. So the RevPro owners then reacted, tweeting about it later in the same evening that Aaron sent out his tweets about his injuries, saying that he hadn't seen the assault. This is Quidlin. Quidlin, he's one of the owners, but he also he does commentary, and he said he hasn't seen the assault. He would have seen a live edit where the production office switches from one camera to the other, and they didn't show the beating. The beating that we saw was fan shot. So he claims that the live edit only showed the in-ring slam from Shaw, which was a work slam, but not the assault. He also claimed, this is still Quidlin, one of the owners of RevPro. He says that he spoke to Aaron and to Shaw, and he was convinced that there was no malice on Shaw's part. Jeff Bodum, though, in the meantime, he claims that once after, of course, the video emerged, he put out a tweet. This one was screen cap for posterity. He said, Did Shaw slam Aaron Wilde? Yes. Did Aaron get injured? Apparently. Did Aaron then shoot for a takedown on me ringside? Yes. That's debatable. It didn't look like that. Did I stop the takedown? Yes. Did I injure him? No. Yes, he did. Did I check on him backstage? Yes. Did he apologize? Yes. Did he blame me? No. But the guy had his bell rung. He was injured. He also got some sort of concussion. I think that was part of the injuries. So basically, Wilde doesn't have any recollection of the attack. That's how bad of an attack it was. So basically, this all ended up with, it seemed like behind the scenes, Quidlin had reassured Bottom that everything would be okay, that he'd back him up. Once the referee had started putting stuff out there, but the evidence was way too damning. There was stuff that you just couldn't sit through and objectively say, you know what? Yeah, this, clearly the referee was asking for it. This was all some sort of shoot or whatever. But RevPro did eventually come out with a statement saying that Shaw Samuels didn't have, according to his version of the facts, did what he had to do, a protected slam, and that was that. There was a mistake that happened with the referee, but on the other hand, Josh Bottom's actions were reprehensible, and they cut ties with him. And it even turns out that there's some very, very, since then, Bodum has basically, he's implicitly said that he is done with wrestling and he's not doing it anymore. There's also a lot of people who've told me that, well, Bodum was blacklisted from a lot of promotions. Don't know what promotions. Could be just hearsay, but there are places that he's worked at that he hasn't worked for, that he hasn't worked at again. Apparently he's had issues in the past. If anything, he's just successfully burned bridges everywhere. But to me, it is a good sign that RevPro was able to turn around the situation here and do the right thing. They did the right thing in backing up the referee, saying that this was reprehensible, and cutting ties with a wrestler who worked himself into a shoot, basically, sort of forgot that this was, fake wrestling and that he was supposed to lose anyway. It's not as if the booking was completely upheaved here. It's not as if the booking was completely upheaved. His team was supposed to lose. They were supposed to lose, just not in the way that it happened. So I'm not quite sure exactly what went through Bodum's mind, but what he did was entirely reprehensible. RevPro also said that they were going to back up Aaron Wilde, the referee, as well, that they were going to look after him. If his injuries prevented him from coming back to be a full-time referee, they would find other things for him to do in the promotion, but it still sucks because refereeing for RevPro was not his main source of income. His main source of income implied that he needs to be physically fit to do it. He needs to run around a soccer pitch, for Christ's sake. So he unfortunately suffered some very, very severe injuries here. So I really hope RevPro do the right thing and do keep looking after Wilde here. There's a lot of people on Twitter who are like, oh yeah, but Quidlin said he'd back Bottom up first and foremost. Look, we have so many, and they're dismissing this. They're saying, oh well, first and foremost, Quidlin said that he'd back Bottom up, and now they're not. So they're not very sincere in their approach because they flip flopped. Well, yeah, and good that they flip flopped. Good on them. Good on RevPro for doing it. Maybe even if it was because of the Twitter pressure, because the video was leaked, because the fans started to see it and thought that this was reprehensible, that the Bodum's actions were terrible, basically. At least they were able to change their position. They were able to change their mind into the right thing to do. And I am okay with that. The number of times where we have corporations, companies on any level, on any sphere that do really, politicians, not to name names, who do crappy things, who make very, very serious, shitty, who perform very shitty actions. And we try to get them to change and they don't. We boycott, we write petitions, we do all sorts of shit, and they stay in this in this position where you know they're not doing the right thing. They're doing something very, very self-serving or damaging, whatever. Even if social media pressure forced them to change their opinion, even if that's the reason why they did it, it's even good on us. Good on us for getting them to change their mind. If at first they were indeed ready to back Bodum up. Don't need to go back and piss on this decision that they made. It's the best decision. It is the perfect outcome. They just have to live up to it now. If they are going to look after Wild, well, they better damn look after him. That being said, just last week, I hope you guys took the opportunity to listen to the interview that I conducted with Emily and Dan Reed of Pro Wrestling Eve. But if the talent in this circumstance had all been covered by a union such as Equity UK, everyone would have been taken care of. And Wild would have got some kind of liability, not liability insurance, but some health insurance on top of this. He would have been taken care of. I just thought it was interesting that this all came out just when I was done talking about unionizing and protecting protecting talent through with Emily and Dan, and then this pops up. It's hard not to put one and one together here. So ultimately the right thing was done. We'll see how things go moving forward here. Just before we go, AXS and IMPACT. AXS, not Axis. Axis is something else. There's been a couple of Axes throughout history, not necessarily good. No, AXS and IMPACT. I'm sure you've heard the news. Anthem Entertainment bought AXS, the cable network. Anthem is the company that owns Impact Wrestling, and they bought them a couple of days ago, and now it was just announced. I think it was announced. Was it announced today or yesterday? Look, it's been recently announced. Impact is leaving the Pursuit Network. Jesus, can you believe that? They're leaving the Pursuit Network. And they're going to be debuting on AXS after Bound for Glory. Man, okay, just guys and gals, think about this. Take a minute. Just let these following words sink into you, okay? I keep talking about this. I keep saying it. It's like a catchphrase, but it's true. Wrestling in 2019 is wild. WWE is ending up on Fox, and it's putting out 2 more hours of wrestling programming on cable TV. AEW is going on TNT. The NWA is having TV tapings, and Impact is going on AXS, not bottom-feeding Pursuit Network. I mean, it's not a huge case. It's not USA Network. It's not, but still, it's wild. Anyway, I just want to touch on this shortly. And here's the thing. It's great for talent. This is fantastic for everyone who works in I was going to say AEW, but it's fantastic for everyone who works in Impact. The men, the women. Look, I'm going to say something extremely biased, but this is especially great for the women's division because objectively speaking, Impact has the best women's roster, has the best women's division, in all of wrestling right now. No one comes close. WWE may have the numbers, may have the depth, but they don't treat their women's roster as good as Impact does with theirs. They just don't. And you can tell just by the way they book Tessa Blanchard. Tessa is their star. She's big time, but she's not the only woman. She's not the only woman that they're building up. They've got the whole division lives and thrives there. So that's a thing. So it's good for everyone working there. Now, anyone can speculate next about how this is going to work with their relationship with New Japan. Now, there's a lot of people saying, well, now, clearly Anthem and New Japan are going to get back into a working relationship. They're going to start working with Impact again, such as many years ago. I keep hearing this all the time. Apparently, New Japan, they're still pissed with how they treated Okada years ago, and that was back when Jeff Jarrett was still in control. And they're still mad to this day. They still don't want to send any talent over because of the way they handled Okada. So that's something. And look, anyone who tells you this is what's going to happen, how New Japan is going to react this way, and this is how it's going to affect the ROH deal. Anyone who tells you that, at best have Ed Nordholm right next to them to back it up, because everything is so much in the air right now. All we can do is sit around and speculate. It's just shooting the breeze. But how the hell can anyone know how the wrestling landscape is going to look like in December when the wrestling landscape didn't even look like this 30 days ago? And if there's one thing, I'm going to give you my gut feeling. I don't think AXS is going to kick New Japan off television, or Women of Wrestling, which is on AXS as well. I don't think they're going to kick them off, especially when it comes to New Japan. New Japan's ratings on AXS have been systematically going up over the past 18 months. They've been consistently going up, and that's bananas when you think about that. Most of New Japan programming that ends up on AXS is not live. Last year, they were broadcasting New Japan events months after the show had actually happened and was available on New Japan World and so on and so forth. And yet, people are still tuning in to watch New Japan. And you're still owning a network. There's a difference between owning a professional wrestling organization and then having a network where you want sponsors, you want the entire network to thrive, you want to be able to sell advertising space. Well, you want things that will pop ratings. Well, if New Japan's ratings are going that way, I don't see why they kick them off. And like Jason PS3 in the chat notes, and I've read this as well, New Japan's contract with AXS lasts reportedly up till 2021. So honestly, there's not going to be much movement that's going to happen around there. So there we go. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I've been, for the better part of 2 decades, just about 2 decades, I have seen time and time again, I have seen wrestling pundits, reporters, and fans predict the death of TNA/Impact year upon year upon year. And it's still around. So honestly, I'm okay with this. I'm okay, and I hope we get 20 more years of this, because I think I love when organizations, when a wrestling promotion proves detractors wrong. Now the thing is here, and this has been systematic throughout the existence of Impact, even back when it was called TNA, their management has always been shitty. It's always been bad. They have always had systematic, terrible management. And it's the same thing here. Everyone is up in arms because they're firing 40% of, when I say Anthem, are firing 40% of the AXS staff. I'm not saying it's right, but this is normal when you get an acquisition. You want to keep your people, so you divest yourself of the redundant positions. I'm not saying it's right, but this is to be expected. They're divesting themselves of some fantastic people from behind the scenes who I don't know, but a lot of my colleagues and contacts and friends who do work in wrestling media are very much up in arms at the quality of people that are being let go. So that's one thing. So while they're firing 40% of their office staff, basically, you have one guy who want to hang on to their jobs. You have one guy who wants to leave, but they don't want to let him leave. I'm talking about Killer Cross. There's one guy who says to the company, "Hey, you know what? I don't want to bleed. I don't want to bleed at your wrestling event because you don't have the doctors at ringside. I'd like to get my contractually obligated merchandise sales reports, please. But you're not giving them to me, so I don't know how much money you're holding back on me, but it's in my contract. You should be giving this," but they're not. So he's like, "Fine, I want to be done with you guys," and they're not letting him go. This is the same type of company who sets up events and does not provide catering. Shit, not even catering. It doesn't provide water backstage for the talent. You have to bring your own bottles of water there, pal. You want to stay hydrated? Want to stay on top of the game here? No, well, that's on you. Go buy yourself an 18 pack at Costco. Bring your granola bars. They're firing people in the office to cut costs, right? Because that's always it. But they're not taking care of their talent. They're not putting money. Look, honestly, I just read the report. I think it was yesterday. They shot an early morning segment. I'm a little out of the loop over the past couple of weeks regarding Impact. I haven't been watching it, but I should. Brian Cage is in a marriage angle, and they shot something about that marriage angle. An early morning shoot a couple of days ago. No catering, no water, no coffee. And they're like up at 5 a.m. shooting this angle. And there's nothing. And the talent instead of complaining, they're joking about it. They're like, "Well, business as usual here at Impact." They're letting go the staff that probably wants to keep their jobs, and you have one guy who wants to leave. He wants to get out of there, and you're hanging on to him. And for what? For what? Yes, he can be. Killer Cross is a star. He can be a star anywhere he wants. And there are, you know what? AEW would eat that guy up. He'd be perfectly at home there. Why? Why is he not being released? Why are they playing big dog with him? Being like, why are they acting like they're WWE? This is the kind of behavior where you're like, well, shitty WWE, but they have the power, they have the legal, they have the contracts to back up their shit, these shitty decisions. Why is Impact doing this? Why is Impact so hell-bent on hanging on to this guy? he is fantastic. He's not the face of Impact. He's not. It's not as if you're letting go of Stone Cold Steve Austin and you don't want him to go somewhere else. He's not Roman Reigns, this commodity that everyone knows. He's a wrestler. Let him go wrestle. And then keep other people on the staff. If the Impact thing, and it's modus operandi as far as Impact goes, it's always the same thing. There's these moments, these decisions where you're like, this is going to be great for the talent, where you're like, you're naturally optimistic, because who wouldn't be naturally optimistic to have another promotion on television, another place with a TV deal where wrestlers can get proper money, proper exposure? Well, sure. Who wouldn't want that? But then there's always something about Impact where you're like, yeah, all of this is good, but... And it's not just because they have Don Callis anymore. It's not just because of that. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's an absurd situation. I don't know if you've heard it, but your boy Sean Ross Sapp had a fantastic rant about the whole situation, and he goes deeper into the media, into the media aspects of it, because he worked with a lot of these people through PR. Through the PR, he worked with a lot of people in the PR department, I should say. And I think even Kristen Ashley, and she's in the chat right now, I think she can even vouch for this. Everyone who I've talked to have always said the AXS PR people are extraordinary. They are so good at what they do. They're fantastic. They're open. They're transparent. They're always putting out press releases. So it's a mystery to a lot of people why these people are disappearing. And Sean has a great rant. You should go check that out on the Fightful channel. That's fantastic. And see, Kristen confirms in the chat, Access PR is top notch. They're so nice and willing to help. And that is a rarity. As far as wrestling media goes, it is a rarity. Let's see here. Just running through the chat here just before we wrap up, seeing if there's a couple of comments/questions. Robert Larry says, does anyone feel that Fox might purchase the WWE in the future? No. Not as long as Vince McMahon is there. There's no way that's happening. Maybe in the future, but as it stands right now, Vince is not letting go of his baby. Are you kidding me? Daniel Price says that Vince loves money, but he'd never sell off WWE. It's not even a question of loving money. This is Vince's baby. This is, as much as I agree that he's a guy that he's in a position where he loves power. He's got all this money. But he took this from his father, a territory, a goddamn carny territory, and then at some point said, you know what? We're gonna mix pop culture and entertainment and make this a show. We're gonna do something called WrestleMania, and he banked all his money on it, and it worked out. And he's been working at it since then. Why do you think he still has to have final approval on all the scripts? This is his baby. It's his thing. As long as Vince is there, there's no way he's selling it off. Jason PS3 says, which is worse, Killer Cross or Luke Harper? That's a tough one, because they're both fantastic, and I love Luke Harper. But if I have to pick, you got to go with Killer Cross. I think he's younger. He has his upside is huge, and I don't think he's peaked yet. Luke Harper, if he does come back in whatever shape or form, I think it's going to be in a final hurrah kind of situation. But then again, you never know. You have Lance Archer, who's reinventing himself in New Japan, and he's in his mid-40s, I think. You have PCO, Pierre-Carl Ouellet. He's in his 50s, and you have Chris Jericho. So, there's still so much stuff here. JS Brown says it's gotten so bad with Cross that he doesn't directly speak to them anymore. He goes through his lawyer. That's what I heard as well. And yeah, there we go. And yeah, and as Critical Sting pointed out, don't forget Ken Shamrock coming back, 55 years old. So, I'm telling you folks, it's just wild these days. Everything is crazy, crazy wild. Well, there you have it. We're going to wrap this one up. I want to thank everyone, and I mean everyone, for coming in this evening. It was a great time. Very busy chat again this evening. And I know when I go off on rants, I don't give you guys and gals the love and attention that I usually pour upon you, but it's because it's the duality in which I exist. Do I rant and expunge and entertain, or do I cajole and embrace? It's a duality that is so hard to live with. But honestly, I want to thank everyone for coming. Just the fact that you guys come systematically over every Thursday, it means a lot to me. But hey, come back tomorrow, 8 p.m. I'm going to be with the Spees and the Benchmark boys. It's going to be a good time talking about Clash of Champions. Tuesday on the Bell to Bells channel, we are going to be talking about Pro Wrestling Eve, their show that's happening this weekend. Wrestling with an Agenda. That's going to be a good time. Chris and Ashley Harmony Cox are going to be joining me, but over on the Bell to Bells stuff, not here on your Warren Hayes channel. But man, it's a fantastic time to be a wrestling fan. I don't remember being this excited in a long, long time. It's wild. It's nuts. Let's just have a good time. We're just along for the ride, folks. Let's enjoy it. And in the meantime, thank you all very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.